Okay, here we go. Lesson 6. Today we're going to be calculating volume of prisms that are, well, they're three-dimensional shapes. They're not all going to be prisms, but they're made up of prisms. The first one is a large box that's made up of two boxes that are the same size. So that one is a prism. The next shape, though, is we wouldn't call this shape a prism. We would call it a composite figure. It's made up of two prisms. So to find the volume of something like this, you're going to have to break it into its parts and find the volume of this prism and add it to the volume of that prism to get your total. Okay, so that's the idea of the lesson today, is learning to see shapes as composite figures. They're made up of smaller shapes. And the first one's very easy because it's just two congruent or equal size prisms. So they're both 3 by 14 by 5. So you could do this two ways. You could find out what 3 by 14 by 5 is, or what 15 times 14 is. I'll just do that real quick. 210. And then just add another 210 to itself, and you'll get 420. What I did is I just looked at this as one large box. I added the two fives together and said, well, the height is obviously 10 centimeters. The length is 14 and the width is 3. So I just to make this a little bit more clear, I just made it as one box. So 14 times 3 times 10, okay, is 420 cubic centimeters. So the strategy, however you end up doing it, I said since the boxes were the same, I added 5 and 5 to find the height, I'll say, of the whole box, the whole shape. Okay, so that's the first one. That one's easy enough. You should not have too many questions about that, but you can always pause the video and go back, rewind. The next one is going to be a little bit more complicated because the two boxes are not the same size. They do share something in common. They're both the same width, okay? So the large box is 15 by 4 by 6. This large box, I figured out the volume right here. And the width is 4. And I want you to pay particular attention because this smaller box up here, they don't really give you the width of it, okay? You have to logically decide that the width is the same as the width of this box, because you can tell from the picture, this box lies right on top with no overlap or gap. So this prism has a length of 7, a width of 4, and a height of 3. That comes out to 84 cubic inches. And then you're just going to add those two together to get the 444 cubic inches. So the strategy that you're supposed to write out and explain is just like, what did you do? Well, I found the volume of each prism and then added them together. That was my strategy. Okay, this one is very similar. Two boxes, one on top of the other. You can see that the width of this top box is the same as the width of the bottom box, okay? Now, this measurement of 4 centimeters to get the length of this top box, that was not there. That was not given to us, okay? So what you have to do is you have to look at the length of the bottom box and look what they give you. They give you that this is 6 centimeters, this length here. So if the full length of the box is 10 and the length of the box until this one hits it is 6, that's how you find 10 minus 6 is 4. That's how you find the length of this top box. So the top box is 4 by 4 by 2, 4 by 4 by 3. 4 by 4 by 3, so that's 48 cubic centimeters. And the long narrow box is 10 by 3 by 2, 10 by 3 by 2, which is 60 cubic centimeters. And when we add those together, we get 108 cubic centimeters. Okay. On this one, you have to do something similar. The bottom box or prism, all three dimensions are given, 10 by 3 by 6. Okay, so that part is no problem. 10 by 3 by 6 is 180 cubic millimeters. But this top box, you're not given the height. You're given the width is 8, and you're not given the width of this. But you can see from the picture that this width of this box is the same as the width of that box, because this one just fits perfect. You know how you played with blocks as a little kid, that they have the same width, they fit right on top. So this width is 3, and this height is going to be 6. How do I know that? The height of the whole shape is 12, and the height of the bottom box is 6. Well, that means the height of the top box has to be 6, so that the two together make 12. So that's how I got my dimensions for the top box, 8 by 6 by 3. It's 144 when you multiply it out. And then you add them together here, which is what I did here, and you get 324 cubic meters. Okay, now I know I'm going fast. I can't do the math that fast. That's why I already had worked out the math, so you didn't have to sit there and watch me do it. You should do the math yourself. This is all really good multiplication. So you work it all out. I'm just explaining to you how I went about it. Okay, now number 2 looks really complicated. And it kind of is. It's a very detailed shape. But I want you to look at that shape for a minute. That shape is entirely made out of rectangular prisms or rectangular blocks. We've got 2 large blocks and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 smaller blocks. And it says up here in the problem that the sculpture is made of 2 sizes of rectangular prisms. So therefore we know we've got the large prism and the small prism, and then they're all the same. So one size measures 13 by 8 by 2. That's going to be the smaller prism, okay? So I'll put S there. How do I know that? Because the other one is 9 by 8 by 18. This 18 in length has got to be the larger prism. So that's 18, or height, I guess that's the height. And then by 9 by 8, it doesn't really matter. I guess 8 is the width. Okay. Anyway, I figured out the volume of each of the 2 different sizes. 13 by 8 by 2 is 208. 9 by 8 by 18 is 1,296. Now, how many? That's just the volume of one of those blocks. Okay, this is the volume of the small. This is the volume of the large block. I'm calling them blocks, but they're prisms. That's the math word. Well, I have 2 large prisms, so I multiplied this number times 2, and I get 2,592. But I have 6 smaller prisms, so I multiply 208 by 6, and I get 1,248. Then I add the 2 volumes together. The volume of the large blocks plus the volume of the smaller blocks equals the total volume of the whole shape, 3,840 cubic inches. Okay, the problems are getting more and more challenging. The next problem says that the combined volume of 2 identical cubes is 128 cubic meters. So we have 2 cubes. I'll just show you 2 cubes. The combined volume is 128. So what it's asking, though, is what is the side length of each cube? Remember, cubes have all the same side lengths, length, width. That's what a cube is, okay? So it's not asking what's the volume of 1 cube. It's asking you what the side length is of that 1 cube. So yes, the first thing you do is you divide and you find the volume of 1 cube is 64 cubic centimeters just for one of these. But now you have to find out what the side length of this is. And the only way you can do that is kind of playing around with the numbers. You're trying to find a number that when you multiply it by itself 3 times, you get 64. So just start with 2. What is 2 times 2 times 2? That's going to be 8. That will not be it. This is trial and error here. 2 times 2 times 2 is going to be 8. So that's not it. 3 times 3 times 3 is going to be 27. But if I go to 4 times 4 times 4, I hit it on the mark. And they won't make you do that for really large numbers, because they're not really trying to torture you, even though it might feel like that sometimes. So the side length is 4 for one of those little tiny cubes. So next one. Okay, here is a tank. It is a rectangular prism. It has the base area. Now pay attention to what information they're giving you. They're giving you the base area. That means they've already multiplied the length and the width to get 24, okay? And it's filled with water and oil to a depth of 9 centimeters. So this full depth is 9 centimeters because it's got water and oil. If you've ever tried to mix salad dressing, you know that water and oil separate. And so eventually the oil and water separate into 2 layers and the oil rises to the top. If the thickness of the oil layer is 4 centimeters, that's what this is for, what is the volume of the water? So we have to find the volume of this portion down here. This is where the water is. It said the oil rises to the top, which it does. It's lighter than the water. And so they're asking us to find the volume of just the water. So think about that for a moment. But this is going to be a situation where you find the volume of the whole thing, and then you subtract out the volume of the oil to get the volume of the water. So the volume of the whole thing we can find by multiplying the area of the base, which is 24, by 9. Remember, the area of the base is already the length times the width, and they give that to you. Oh, I just froze. Sorry about that. We're back now. Okay, so we need to find the volume of the whole tank, which I was just explaining. You would normally multiply the length times the width times the height. But when they give you the area of the base, they're basically giving you the length times the width of the base, because that's how you find area. So they're kind of saving you a step. And all you have to do is multiply 24 times 9. And so we know the full tank is 216 cubic centimeters. Now we're going to find the volume of the oil, okay? Well, the top of the tank is the same as the bottom of the tank. So you can say that the area or the bottom of the oil block is the same as the bottom of the tank. So the area of that prism is going to be the same, 24, but we're going to multiply it times 4. So 24 times 4 is 96. That's the volume of the oil, okay? So we figured out the volume of the total volume, the volume of the oil. All we have to do is subtract, and what's left is the volume of the water, okay? Another way you could have found the volume of the water is with the missing side length here, which would have been the missing height. If the full tank is 9, then you could have just realized that that height is 5, and you could have just gone 24 times 5. That would actually have been way easier, huh? Leave it to Mrs. Montiel. Okay, 120 cubic centimeters it is. Anyway, that was good. Another strategy that subtraction you might need to use. Okay, now number 5 is a challenge problem. I'm going to talk you through it because you will have one on your homework. And so I'm going to start out with just reading. 2 rectangular prisms have a combined volume of 432 cubic feet. So 2 prisms, combined total of this amount. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Prism A has half the volume of prism B. So prism, whatever A is, B is double that, okay? Can you see how I drew this tape diagram? I made it into 3 boxes because I needed 3 boxes that represent the volume of A, because I have to double A for B because it says prism A has half the volume of prism B. So it's all these 3 boxes together that make 432. So then you have to divide 432 by 3 and get 144, and that gives you what the volume of A is. And then B is everything else, or 288 cubic feet. So, so that's the volume of each of the prisms. Now, prism A has a base area of 24 square feet. What is the height? Well, so just like we did with the tank, if they're giving you the area of the base, all you have to do is take the volume and divide it by the area, and that will give you the height. Because you guys should know that the area of the base times the height equals the volume. So then you just work backwards and you start with the volume, divide by the area of the base, and that will give you the height. So the height of prism A is 6 feet. Now they're saying prism B's base is 2/3 the area of prism A's base. So this goes back to module 4, where we're taking 2/3 of something. So we're multiplying prism A's base by 2/3 to get prism B's base, because prism B's base is, that means equal, is 2/3 of the area of prism A's base. Okay, so we need to multiply 2/3 times 24, which is 16. And now you know the area of prism B's base, so you can take the volume of prism B, which is 288, and divide it by 16 to find the height. And the height is 18 feet. Okay, so there you go. Good luck, 5th grade. So you'll be doing the homework on your own, and you're going to have to do, those of you who don't print it out will have to do the work on a separate sheet of paper, which obviously would be better because look how much room this took up on the paper. So just make sure you show your work and how you arrived at your answers. Okay, have a great day.